Well, here's to another hurricane season, which FEMA will obviously not be doing shit for us over because Donald Trump hired an idiot. So here we go. Let's get into it. Welcome back to The Get Down. I'm John Stanton, editor of Gambit, and your intrepid host. This week, we are in the middle of Pride Month, and instead of doing some news of things that have been going on this month, I'd like to highlight a story that we actually did back in 2001, I believe. It was written by Sarah Ravitz, and it's about a place that probably very few of you know of. It's called the Quorum Club. The Quorum Club was a coffee shop slash bar slash hangout space on Esplanade that opened up in 1963. And it was opened by a group of black and white people that were straight and queer. And it was sort of designed to be a space where they could come together to hang out and read poetry, listen to music, talk, dance, do all these kind of things at a time when it was illegal for black and white people to be served in establishments together in New Orleans. It sort of grew out of the scene in a coffee shop called The Writer, which was very popular back then. And one of the things about the Quorum Club that was super important was that it was also one of the very few spaces really in the South, or really in much of the country, where trans people were able to also go and freely associate with people and hang out and be themselves. And there was a couple that lived there. Their names were Lee and Ron Grew. Lee was a very accomplished poet. She was one of the best poets to come sort of out of the city and was a friend of mine, Miss Lee. And her husband, Ron, who was also a friend of mine, he at the time was a tugboat captain. And there's a famous story about once they were asleep in their room behind the bar, and Ron heard some noise outside, and he came out running in his underwear and found a bunch of drunk, racist, homophobic rednecks throwing bottles at the bar, and he chased them off. And it's just sort of a small demonstration of the sort of gotta hate the word, but true resilience and determination of people in the city to not only have spaces that they feel safe in, but also their allies to help protect them. And it's a great little piece of our history. The club eventually closed at the end of the 60s, but its legacy can still be felt throughout the city today. So here is to the Quorum Club. This week's issue of Gambit focuses on staycation. We decided we wanted to do this issue as a way to try to help people understand, their city a little bit better. These are lean times, so people may not be going out on vacation or going very far, but looking for something to do at home. And one of the nice things about New Orleans is that in the summertime, when it gets really quiet, a lot of the hotels in town will have special deals. And so we have, in the issue, you can go check it out, we have some information on some of the hotels where you can get deals, including some of the big chain hotels, which I know some people don't like to go to because those are, corporate chains and the money doesn't stay, not all the money at least stays in the city. But you have to remember, the people that those hotels hire do live in our city. The people that keep the rooms clean, that do maintenance in the buildings, that give you security, that tend the bar. All of these jobs are done by your neighbors, your family, your friends. So even if you are gonna end up going to stay at a Marriott, you should definitely do so because that helps those folks individually. We also have some great information on a number of the pools in town where you can get day passes or season passes. So definitely check all that out. But there is a broader story that is going on behind this, which is that this summer is going to be very, very slow in New Orleans. We don't have a lot of big events, like major concerts. A lot of the sort of conventions and things like that have been coming the last few years in the summer aren't coming this year. And we've already started to see many bars and restaurants either slow down, change their hours, or close altogether. And while some of those closures that we've seen in the last few months aren't really attributed to what's going to happen this summer, some of them are, or at least the dangers of what's going to happen this summer to them are. And that makes it very, very important for us to get out and do what old school bartenders used to call passing the 20. What they meant by that was that there was one $20 bill and all the bartenders would take turns giving it to a different bartender so that everybody was able to make sure they got rent, that they got fed, they made some money every week. And you just did that throughout the whole summer until you got back into fall and the fat time started again and everybody was making money. And it's really, I think, important for us as a community to do that now. There are bars and restaurants all across the city, small shops owned by small business owners and individuals, food trucks, musicians, artists, all of these folks are always kind of struggling to make ends meet no matter how good things are. But at a time like this summer, when there's not going to be a lot of tourists in town and there's not going to be a lot of people coming to spend outside dollars, it's so important for us as a community to make sure we go out and we do that. Whether it's taking advantage of Restaurant Week or culinary deals in August, or just going to a restaurant you've never gone before and having lunch or a couple of drinks and an appetizer, all of that helps. No matter what you do, if you make sure you tip people well and you spend a couple bucks in their shop, it could be the difference between a business surviving this year or going under, and somebody being able to decide, I don't have to not cool my house this month because I have to also make rent. So please get out and support local businesses and musicians and artists this summer. Thanks. We'll be right back. And I'm back with Jake Clapp, our music writer. And Jake, I know that normally we try to like rush through a whole bunch of stuff that's coming up this week, but we got kind of two big kind of events for surprisingly in June, even though it's normally pretty dead, that are coming up. The first thing is Bo Dallas has got a new record, right?
Yeah. So Bo Dallas Jr. and the Wild Magnolias, they have a new album coming out. It's going to be it's a really great album. It's really cool. Bo went up to Memphis to record this in the same place where like Al Green and Tina Turner and a bunch of like really classic Memphis soul and blues was recorded. Royal Studios should have led off with that. Like, this is the name of the place. So Bo Dallas, the Wild Magnolias, recorded this album, and it's this really great mix of like Memphis soul and up-tempo blues, but also a little bit of New Orleans funk and Mardi Gras Indian music.
That sounds badass.
Yeah, it's called Chip Off the Old Block. It's going to be out Friday, June 13th, and then that night, the Wild Magnolias are going to be performing a release show at the Broadside too. So, it's there's some really great Memphis soul classics on the album. They also included Otis Redding's Hard to Handle, but with Angelica Jelly Joseph doing the main vocals and kind of reframing it from a woman's perspective. Yeah, and Jelly is incredible. So like, it's just a great song. That's the single. It's out now. You can go check it out. But also coming up next week, the New Resonance Orchestra is going to be performing Friday, June 13th and Saturday, June 14th at the New Maroney Theater.
And that's they're not like that sounds like the name of like an electronic situation or like the Voodoo's band doing some super funky kind of thing, right? But that's not what they are.
No, they're classical music. So classical orchestra. There's going to be about 30 members or 30 musicians kind of on stage for the main piece in the show. A lot of them play with the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra, but that main piece was composed by a New Orleans composer, Tucker Fuller, who composed it for pianist Brian Sue. And Brian is this virtuoso pianist. He's an incredible performer. He was teaching at Loyola, and now he's at the University of Oregon. And so they're finally getting to stage this piano concerto. And there's a couple of other, like there's Mozart's Symphony Jupiter, which is like a really big piece. And then there's going to be some smaller pieces also thrown in too.
Yeah, I think the thing about the small pieces that I thought was interesting, and our entertainment editor Will wrote about it this week. He mentioned that they were going to be. They're trying to do it almost if you've ever been to an art museum, and there's like a super famous, like I saw once in a museum, Boy with a Guitar by Pablo Picasso, and they had all these different versions of it, and the first version was like a photorealistic drawing that he had done of the boy with the guitar, and that showed how he got to the cubist painting that we all know today.
Right.
And that they're doing that kind of with like parts of the concerto, right? So that you can hear the process almost of learning or developing the music, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I was in piano lessons, but they are doing etudes, which are kind of like smaller sketches, pieces taken from the concerto and simplified a little bit more for solo pianists. So there's going to be student pianists performing these sketches kind of as people come in, and then hopefully the audience will see like how these smaller pieces led up to the bigger concerto later on.
That's so cool. Awesome.
So there's some slower summer now, but still some great stuff going on.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, baby.
Yeah, thanks.
And we are back for John Learns a Thing. I'm joined by Lionel, who is sitting in for Claire this week.
Yeah, I'm Claire Light.
Would you like to teach me a thing, Lionel?
Yeah, definitely. I also brought my drink. Don't worry, Mom, it's water.
Ooh,
But
bad for you.
speaking of, yeah, I know, right? Speaking of water, and your shirt is very fitting, by the way. Do you know where Cantrell is this week?
I'm sure she's in her office doing lots and lots of work every single day, 12 hours a day, to make sure that the city is safe and that the jail is working correctly, right?
If that were the case, then we would have flying cars and Netflix wouldn't be restricting our accounts to only 4 members per household. No, she's in France, dude.
Wow.
She is in, is it Nice or Nice?
Nice.
Okay.
Which is very nice. I've been there. Dun-dun.
I don't have a passport. I need to get that. But yeah, dude, she's in France right now. She is participating in the United Nations Ocean Conference.
Ocean conference.
Yeah.
So she's now an ocean expert as well as climate and business and other stuff.
And I also hear she has a really good Katie and Cod, which is, I didn't know she played video games like that either. But yeah, so anyway, she is participating in the United Nations Ocean Conference, which is a conference meant to, what is the word? It starts with an R. Represent. It's meant to represent coastal states, regions, such as that. It's meant to advocate for, rising sea levels and how that is absolutely destructive to where these countries and cities are and whatnot. But she is not on the highlight, dude. She is doing the preceding event, which has a couple speakers, the Prime Minister of Tuvalu, which is like around like Laos, I believe. And then one of the like political generals for Panama, and then the mayor of New Orleans, Louisiana. It feels really out of place, like Elon's kid in the Oval Office, like, and if she's picking her nose too, that would just be even funnier. But yeah, I was looking around trying to like find something cool to bring, and this struck my attention so much because what was the figure from the 2024 calendar?
I can't remember the exact number, but she spent more time by a factor of I think at least 10 traveling than actually doing any work in her office at all. In 2024. And it's definitely been, in fact, I honestly, legitimately, on God, did not know she was in France until you said that because it's too hard to keep track of her travel schedule. She's gone all the time. She was gone almost the entire time up until a few days ago while the guys were out of jail, because there's that, because it's just too easy, and then, she just dips again. And I'm actually surprised that she's dipped because Pride is coming up this weekend. We're taping before the weekend, obviously.
Right.
And she loves parades and is always at parades. So, maybe she's going to come home, but I don't know. That's crazy, though, that she would just go to France for some random conference that, like, really, like coastal issues are obviously important in New Orleans.
For sure.
Come on. She's not really an expert on anything that has to do with the coast or flooding, really. So
it's such a random excursion.
Nice is nice this year, though, this time of year. It's very, very nice this time of year.
Yeah. But I had to tell you, John just had to learn this thing. She's once again out of town.
Absolutely. It's like the most least surprising thing I'll ever learn, probably. So, anyway, thanks for teaching me that.
Of course.
Finally, and another thing. This week, I want to talk again about the legislature because those guys are still in session and making problems for everybody. And there's one bill in particular I wanted to talk about, which is a bill dealing with the unhoused, authored by State Representative Alonzo Knox. Thankfully, the legislature actually defeated this bill, but Knox's bill, as originally written, would have created the possibility, would have required the cities to essentially make sleeping on the street more or less illegal. The bill itself wouldn't make it illegal, but it would require the cities and parishes in Louisiana to ban it and prohibit it and force people off the streets. And in instances where there weren't beds for them to go to, they would then be required to open up a new camp someplace. But the restrictions in the bill would have made that almost impossible, short of sticking them someplace so remote that they could not have access to jobs, to any kind of care or any other kind of things that they might need. And it would have also provided business owners like Alonzo Knox and others the ability to file suit against the city if they felt that the city was not adequately enforcing the law. And again, The problem of people being unhoused is a serious problem, and it's a very serious problem in New Orleans. But these kind of punitive measures, even if they're taken in a way where technically the bill isn't the thing that's making it illegal, but still ends up ultimately making it illegal to be unhoused, is simply not the right way. What we need is more affordable housing. We need greater attention to mental health. We need more jobs. We need to have greater support for these people so that they don't have to be out on the street the way they are. The vast majority of the unhoused have jobs. They're trying as desperately as they can to not be unhoused. And as a society, it is time for us to take a really serious approach that is about empathy and compassion, and not simply warehousing them or sweeping them under the rug or getting it out of sight because you don't like it being in front of your business. So that's that. Anyway, thank you for joining us once again here on The Get Down. If you would like to become a member of the Gambit crew, please go to bestofneworleans.com and join up. Every dollar that you give to us will help us, me, my other fellow journalists here at Gambit, do the kind of work that we do, and to bring you kind of the news and entertainment and insights into what's going on in New Orleans that you've come to expect from us for 45 years, shockingly enough. So please definitely consider becoming a member. Also, go read the latest issue of Gambit at bestofneworleans.com, and have a great week.